Yeah, I actually spoke to the club last year prior to their inaugural season, and it just didn't happen. We couldn't come to terms, but there was always that relationship between me and the ownership. And then it just so happened that I took a position with McLean Youth Soccer, and I was in the area. And now, after a couple coaches, I think there was an opportunity to now work together and make this happen.
And obviously it's the first year of the league. So how much of the league did you know about entering, and what about DC Power and also the Super League?
Yeah, so I've followed the DC Power, obviously because I had a little bit of connection there. So I watched some of their games, but to be honest with you, with the rest of the league is a little unknown to me. But since I signed up on the dotted line, I've gone to work really hard to find what's necessary to make a winning team in this league. And that's from watching a lot of game tapes from, obviously our team, but also all the other teams as well.
Your reputation precedes you. You've coached all over the world. You've coached here in North Virginia. What about all of those stints that you've had in the past kind of do you bring to this job?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of experiences that have molded me into the coach that I am. I have my own philosophy and the way I want to play. So, a lot of what we do during preseason is trying to establish that style of play, that game model. And we've been working at it one day at a time, and hopefully by the time we hit our first game, we're all on the same page and we can have, good results.
Without giving too much away, I know it's the preseason. I know you haven't had time to implement everything yet, but what is DC Power going to look like on the field this season?
Yeah, it's going to be a team that people will see. We'll play on our front foot. We'll play attacking soccer. A lot of emphasis on possession and being intentional with our possession, not just to keep it for the sake of keeping it. But then, pressing high and trying to win the ball up high up on the field and try to create some turnovers so that we can get easier opportunities that way as well.
The Super League season is different from the other ones. You have the fall and the spring. You have kind of a 2-month break.
Mm-hmm.
Do you approach this season in kind of two stages, or are you looking at it as a whole and you kind of reevaluate as you go?
Yeah, we look at it as a whole. Obviously, after the first part of the season, it gives us a little bit of time to reflect on the first part and see where we can maybe, reinforce with bringing additional players, or if we're good the way we are. So we have a little bit of time in the middle to really reflect on how we played during the first half of the season, and then sort of plan for the second half of the season. I think if you look at this league, Tampa is a good example. They were in 5th or 6th place at some point, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're moving themselves up the ladder, and then they ended up winning the championship. So, it's important for us to have a good start to the season, but it's a long season, and it's 2 phases of the season. So it's important that we keep our consistency across the both sides of the season.
When any new coach comes in, there's obviously getting to know the players, and there's a lot of roster additions now, but there's also some players who were here last year who have that institutional knowledge. As a new coach, who have you leaned on since you've gotten here to kind of get the lay of the land, and also to kind of see where there are opportunities to get better?
Yeah, I mean, most of the information that I've gotten or who I've leaned on is the staff, actually. It's the same staff that worked here last year with Z and Pablo. So getting information about each individual player that was here last year was very, very incremental, or very, not incremental, but very critical in terms of me making decisions, and then, how do I bring the group together with the new additions, and then making the team, hit on all cylinders when we take the field. So it's been important to just get to know the players on a personal level, and I take time each day to talk to certain players and get to know them, and obviously the new players coming in as well. So we're still very early in our preparation, but I think I have a good handle of what we have and how we need to play in order to be successful.
You have your first preseason match on Wednesday. Again, you mentioned early in the preseason. I guess it's been a little over a week. What are you expecting from that, and what would you like to see in terms of growth from this team in that game?
Yeah, just players being open to new ideas because they obviously had a couple coaches here with different philosophies. Now a third coach comes in probably with a complete different philosophy. Some players are coming from different teams with different ways of looking at the game. So bringing all this together is not easy, and it takes work on the field, doing some video, taking care of the details, making sure everybody understands their role, and that's part of coaching. That's the art of coaching, in fact, to get everybody to kind of buy into what you're trying to do, and then be able to execute it out on the field.
It's different, obviously. New season, new team, new coaches, new personnel. But sometimes the preseason is an opportunity to kind of try some things, experiment with what you have, given the personnel that you do have.
Yeah.
Is this something that you might do over the course of the next month or so with these preseason games?
Of course, yeah. I obviously have something in mind in terms of how I want to play, but we'll have to see. Once we hit the field in these preseason games, starting with this Wednesday against North Carolina, we'll see what we were all about and how we play with what I have in mind or the game model that I have in mind. If we need to make an adjustment, I'm the type of coach that is always open to adapting and trying to do whatever is comfortable for the personnel that we have. I'm not married to any formation or any style of play. The concepts stay the same, like our defensive concepts stay the same. We need to be compact in attack. We need to make sure that we keep possession, we're patient. But, in terms of systems of play, that's always up to debate, and we'll figure out the best way to use our personnel as we move forward into the preseason.